Hello everyone, my name is Sanjna Plawat and I will be teaching English fluency subject. So, what is the role of English fluency in our lives? You must be wondering कि हम लोग B.Com पढ़ रहे हैं तो हम English fluency को क्यों study करें? क्योंकि subject चाहे हमारी language कोई भी हो, we should have a fluency in our language because we have to introduce ourselves at various platforms. और प्लेटफॉर्म्स तो हमारी लाइफ में कुछ भी हो सकते हैं. It can be our domestic life, our personal sphere. It can be our public life, like we go for interviews, we go to jobs, we interact in public sphere. और वो हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी भी हो सकती है. Like we interact to our mentors, we interact to our teachers, and we also interact amongst each other. So at various levels of our interaction, our fluency matters. So we cannot interact with a person from a public sphere in the same way we interact with a person from our family, or like we talk with our mother or father. So this is the relevance of this subject, English fluency subject, in your course, in your curriculum. So in this course we have 3 levels of fluency that we need to understand. First is the domestic sphere, and second is the public sphere, and third is the university sphere. So today we are going to get a hint of how to introduce ourselves in various platforms. How to introduce ourselves in public platform, how to introduce ourselves in domestic platform, and how to introduce as university students amongst each other. So in our everyday interaction, we meet people at various places. We meet people like you walk on a road, you meet some fellow student from your own class. Like remember the day, like this is your first class, right? Okay? So today you must have some familiar faces too and some unfamiliar faces too. So how you begin the interaction with each other depending on the familiarity with the person. So for example, what is your name? Priyanshi. And what is yours?
Gunjan.
Manju? Gunjan. So do you know each other? From earlier. So Priyanshi and Gunjan, for example, you know each other since how many years? 2. Since 2 years. But for example, you cannot interact in the same manner to another person. For example, you don't know a random person in the class. So for example, Priyanshi and Gunjan, you both know each other, but you cannot interact in the same manner to another girl from the same class you are not familiar with. So we are going to study how we can interact and make ourselves familiar with a person we do not know in our class or in a university sphere. So in this context, we are going to take an example of a person who commutes daily from metro. For example, there is a girl. For example, in your this study material, we have the example of 2 girls, Ritika and Chitra. So we have Ritika and Chitra who are studying in the same class, and they both board the train daily to their destination metro rail. So for example, they meet in the class and they come to know about each other that they both are traveling through the same destination. So how to introduce to each other? Ritika, hi, I am Ritika, first year BA student. I have seen you in the college canteen. Chitra, of course you have. Hi, I am Chitra and I am in the first year of BCom. So when you start to interact with an unknown person who is from the same curriculum, so what is the basic foundation of interaction? The basic foundation of interaction is the course, because they are studying in the same course. So when you interact with a person who is from a different sphere, you have to find a common ground. Then only you can find an interaction. So if you are interacting with a person who is not from your comfort zone, then you have to find a common ground to begin a conversation. So this makes things easier. So in the case of Ritika and Chitra, the common ground is being in the same class, being the BCom students. So if in any other sphere of life too, if you are wondering that I need to talk with this person, so what will you consider? You will find a common ground of interaction with that person. sometimes need to introduce yourself to people who are older than you or your seniors at the workplace. In such situations, you will have to change your tone. So now, the earlier example I gave was the example of people who are of your same age or you are in your comfort zone. So next example I'm going to give of the seniors. For example, in your university, you have your senior faculty members, you have your senior students who are senior than you. So in that matter, we have to change our tone. We cannot interact with that person or particular individual in the same tone that we interact with the so if you are talking to a senior faculty member or if you are talking to a senior person in your university, then you need to change your tone. You cannot talk in the same tone. So these parameters are very important to get a very good communication and a good relationship with the individual. Because if you are talking in a tone that is not respectful, and if you are talking in a tone that is not suitable to that particular person, then it can destroy your relationship. Whether you are a good student, whether you are scoring good marks, irrespective of that too, you have to have good communication and good relationship skills with your seniors and with your fellow study members. So that is the basic reason that we are studying this English fluency course. Now, another example, we have a senior member in a family, like you are introducing someone to your mother. So, how will you introduce someone to your mother? So, you have an example, Alo and his mother and Sarvesh. Alo, Mom, I want to meet Sarvesh. He is my class in college. Sarvesh, meet my mom. Mother, hello Sarvesh, how are you? I have heard a lot about you from Alo. He told me you are from Jaipur. So the first golden rule of the introduction between the senior people of age and the younger people of age is that the junior members are introduced first. You never introduce the senior member to the younger member of the interaction. You have to introduce the younger person first. So if you're introducing your fellow classmate with your mother, so you have to introduce your classmates first to your mother. Now the second rule is that men need to be introduced to women. So if there is a communication between a man and a woman, the golden rule is that the man needs to be introduced to the woman, woman doesn't need to be introduced to the man. And the third rule is that I already told you, that the junior to the senior. Senior doesn't introduces himself or herself to the junior. Junior introduces herself or himself to the senior. Now, there is a very funny example that in our country, we always address our elder members as uncle or auntie. Everyone is our uncle or auntie, irrespective of our relation. So whether that person is our uncle or auntie in our real life or not, it doesn't matter. We address everyone with uncle or auntie. But this is not the real way of communication, because that person is not our family member. So the proper way of addressing someone who is senior in our age and we don't know that person is sir or ma'am. We will introduce that person as either sir or ma'am. Not everyone is our uncle or auntie, okay? Because that person may be from your professional life and it doesn't feel good. You are speaking to your teacher as your uncle or auntie, or speaking to your senior person from your class, like your second year or third year student, like bhaiya. Every time it doesn't suit school. So speaking as sir or ma'am is a professional way of communicating to that person. Now another scenario we have of if you will pass out, you will get your degree, and you will go to a professional organization to get a job. So when you go to a professional organization to go get a job, you address the complete name of that person. You do not address some example like she's my I know her, or she's my auntie, or she's my uncle. You do not introduce like that, because that is a professional manner of communication. We have the example of here a scenario. Sir, I would like you to meet Miss Archana Pandit, the new architect in our company. Miss Pandit, this is Mr. Ranjan Nambiar, our manager director. So here, Miss Archana Pandit is a new joinee in the company. The person who is addressing Miss Archana is addressing full name of that person with surname. So addressing the full name of the person with the surname is the proper way of introducing someone in organization. You cannot just use the first name of the person you have just met. For example, there is a girl Suhasini, and her full name is Suhasini Sharma. So you have to introduce the full name like Suhasini Sharma. You cannot say, sir, this is Suhasini. This is not a proper way of introducing someone you have just met in the company. Okay. Let me come in. Yes. Another proper way of introducing someone in a formal situation is using either Mr. or Miss. It adds a certain way of decency to the communication. So if you're introducing someone in your company, just pick a name like Ankit Singh. It doesn't suit nice. You will introduce as Mr. Ankit Singh. Or if there is a woman, like for example Suhasini Sharma, so you will introduce as Miss or Mrs. Suhasini Sharma, not just directly the first name. This doesn't suit right. Okay. Now, English class. Now comes a very important aspect of communication, that is confidence. If you do not have confidence in the communication, then all the things that you have studied, all the marks that you have gathered in your exam, it doesn't matter if you cannot present yourself comfortably and confidently in a communication. So you should have keep your tone friendly and maintain eye contact. So first of all, your tone should be friendly. You should not sound rude. And second, there should be a proper eye contact. Eye contact is very important in communication. It maintains a kind of rapport, a kind of connection with the person with whom you are speaking. Nobody likes talking to a person who is looking somewhere else. Second, be mindful of the situation and choose your words carefully. Avoid personal questions. Also, very important. English. Sorry? English. No, actually, I'm not ready. I have a class here. Just let go back. English की class. Never ask personal questions to a person you have just met. कुछ लोग क्या करते हैं, like हमारे यहाँ एक ना culture है, like you go to a doctor or you go to a party or to a mandir. So even some stranger asks you personal questions, but that is not a way of talking or interacting with the person you have just met. So in formal situations में फिर भी आपका चल जाता है, but if you go to a business meeting and if you are asking to your boss or your fellow working member personal questions, then it degrades your personality, it degrades your character in that organization. So never ask personal question with the people in general, and most importantly with the people with whom you are working and whom you are interacting on a professional basis, in order to maintain a good standard of your personality. I'm business law की class English. Don't say too much. At the same time, don't answer questions with a simple yes or no. Also, don't be so much brief in your description. Always have a proper sentence. Like some people are like so much reserved in themselves, they do not want to interact with other fellow members. They just reply in one word, like no, yes. This is not a proper way of communication. You should interact properly with good formation of sentences. At least speak a couple of sentences in order to explain yourself and in order to build a good professional relationship with the individual. Also, do not speak too much. Too much speaking is also not good. Don't just blabber out words of your mouth and speak in paragraphs. And this is also not a good way of communicating. Speak slowly so that the other person can follow your words. Also, don't speak too fast. You should speak in a very steady pace so that you are understandable by the person to whom you are speaking to. Because if you are speaking too fast, then that person cannot understand your words. दूसरे इंसान को समझ में ही नहीं आएगा कि आप क्या बोल रहे हो, तो कम्युनिकेशन का कोई फायदा नहीं. कम्युनिकेशन, some people believe that अगर मैं जोर जोर से बोलूंगी या जोर जोर से बोलूंगा तो बहुत अच्छा बोल रहा हूँ, तो वो भी अच्छा नहीं होता है. Just keep your pace, speaking pace calm and steady, and just express what you are speaking. Speak slowly so that the other person can follow your words. Pay attention to what the other person is saying and take an interest in them. You should take an interest in the person to whom you are speaking. Don't just speak for formality. The other person should understand that the other person, the concerned person to whom he or she is speaking, is taking interest. Then only a good relationship can be built. Do remember to say nice to have met you. I enjoyed talking to you after the conversation is over. So these are some phrases that you can keep in your mind to conclude the topic of communication, like nice to have met you. I enjoyed talking to you, so that the other person have good memory of you in their mind. Now there are some general topics too that you can use to make the other person comfortable. You can have some common ground or common topics to begin the conversation or to make the conversation easy or fluent. For example, you can talk about the living. Where do you live? Do you live far away? Do you travel by metro? So these are communication starters. Communication starters are also common questions that you can ask anyone in order to start communication. Another thing you can ask about the studies, like what is your favorite subject? Have you been to the college library? Are you attending any coaching classes? Third topic is family. You can talk about the family. Like what does your mother, father do? How many brothers or sisters do you have? You can also talk about work. What do you do for work? How long have you been working here? And the common entertainment, like are you on Facebook or do you watch TikTok videos? So these are some common points of communication or discussion. Like sometimes you become blank, you become out of your mind that how should I talk with that person? How should I start the communication with that person? So you can talk about family, you can talk about work, you can talk about entertainment, you can talk about education and where that person lives. Now the things that you should not ask. Do not ask the age of a person. Do not ask the income of a person or the relationship status. Asking these things sounds inappropriate. You sound as if you are not respectful towards that person. So never ask about age, income, or the relationship status. So today we discuss this unit about how to introduce yourself in public sphere, in domestic sphere, and in your university. So anybody have any questions? So we can discuss now. Any query? You can also conduct an activity within yourselves. If you want an activity, like you can pick a topic of discussion, like you can choose family, you can choose work, and you can start communication with each other. You can try talking to a random stage person in your class, like everybody doesn't know everyone. You can pick a person you want to become friends with, and you can take the example of these topics to build a good communication or friendship with that person as an activity. Okay, thank you. Fill up these attendance sheets. चलो Ma'am, can you please send me your name again? Sanjna, yes.